Hey nerds! Hey nerds! We back again for another pod with the boys.
We got the whole gang together.
No
today.
chicks this time.
We're all here.
Is the whole gang with the chicks or just no chicks?
I wouldn't say she's like an official member. She's just like a recurring guest.
We have a lot of friendly faces.
What do they
here.
call them on SNL? Like a featured player.
Featured player.
And I guess she is a level below feature player.
Does she know this?
Well, she didn't come. She elected not to come last week.
Her sketches didn't make the show.
Yeah. Anyways,
I
just the
guess,
boys this
would
week,
that make
regardless.
me a featured player?
Yeah, you're a featured player. You're just
Well, you participate in a lot of planning.
yeah.
And so, like, remember when I made the logo? Because remember at the time when I made the logo, Greg wasn't doing shorts and sketches with
I
us.
still don't do
So he was
sketches.
Or do you?
Yeah, I know, right? That just changed today.
Yeah.
Or did it? We're being ambiguous.
we don't know.
Ambiguities. No, but when I made the logo, it was like all encompassing because I just needed to do something real quick, and we had already taken pictures.
But dude, I think it looks really bad and it needs to be changed if we're gonna get more people involved.
What looks
We
bad
could just
about
add heads in the back and just continue adding heads.
Yeah.
It's like a
Till
flower
it's
of
done.
heads.
Yeah.
it? Everyone that ever comes
No,
on,
I'm
we just put them
I'm
on.
kind of remarking on the stupid messages that we get
Oh,
because it's just so ridiculous.
Well, what
it feels
messages?
forced. The
There's-
picture feels
Like
Oh,
forced.
on
okay.
Facebook, we get
Okay.
a bunch of like, hey, if you want to get more viewers, then you need to change your logo.
I
That's-
love
It's
Marty.
because team
I
is
love you
like
so much.
not actually like on the curve.
You are taking offense to bots trying to get.
No. I'm not taking
It's
offense. It's
Ultron.
just I think it's just really stupid. That's one of the things that they lay out. Like that's what they're looking for.
On
right?
on Instagram, we get messages all the time because I followed a graphic artist,
Okay.
and so he sends out, and I don't know if it's him or a bot, but he'll send out a message every time I like one of his posts. He'll send a message, "Hey, I was looking on your thing," and it's a copy paste response to everybody. And so he's like, maybe y'all need a new logo or something. He's trying to sell us to pay him to get an AI to draw us a logo. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Well, we just go to the middleman and just let AI do it.
Exactly.
without him.
Yeah.
And so Marty, you told me about that before, and I was thinking,
Yeah, I brought it up once
I
before.
was like, Marty.
No, but
that's a
there's
damn bot.
like 3 or 4, maybe like
There's VTubers, the ones that do the
there's
VTuber
like
stuff.
they're kind of like back and forth. Like if you want
Yeah.
to get more viewers involved in your stuff, these are the things that you need to change.
Yeah, and then there's a lot of Indian people that will message us and do the same thing, and it's usually through Facebook. I get those, and it's
But what if you don't want that viewer interaction?
yeah, exactly.
So these are like DMs, not
Right,
just like
and
posting
so-
comments.
Yeah,
I think
it's
that's kind of
DMs.
like that was the point here is like our interaction. It was not about like being mainstream. In fact, like I think when we first began, the whole point of the videos was supposed to be like basically like a statement on the state of affairs on YouTube. You know,
We're counterculture.
yeah.
Yeah,
Punk
we're
rap.
just doing stuff that we personally find funny.
Yeah.
And whether or not that coincides with what is currently funny or popular or whatever, but I guess so far most of the time it has.
But that
not.
has definitely changed though.
We laugh.
because y'all do like way more original stuff instead of we're gonna take this and mock it in our clever way.
Well, you see, that's the thing is I want to mock everything.
Mm-hmm.
I personally want to mock everything that I find stupid, but the problem is,
Give us an example.
that's what I was about to say. What the problem is, the things that I find stupid are all hot political takes.
Oh, yeah.
That if I were to mock, then that makes it appear as me having a political stance,
Yeah.
or us having a political stance, one that we don't necessarily feel about. You know what I mean? So if we make fun of, what's a good
The
example?
Hamas?
If we poke, well, see, that's what I was saying about like I don't want to go into and make jokes or make light of,
Yeah.
because it's kind of hard to mock it. You know what I mean?
I don't know anything that's going on.
You can mock some of the people that that are involved in various protests or something. Like there's a lot of
today
mindsets.
Today in Corpus there are actually dueling protests, right? We're on the south side.
Well, you told us. I don't know.
Well, there is. One on the south side is on one team, and we're on downtown is on the other team.
Wait, you just said we're on?
Were.
As in
I don't.
time.
I don't know.
Wait, if there's-
I don't know which side is on which team, but
Yeah.
We're not involved with that.
Correct.
Ooh.
We are in the studio. We
Yeah.
are at none of the protests.
I thought dueling protests means they were like
Oh, like
Face
standing
off
in front of
against
each
each
other.
other.
Yeah.
Well, what probably happened, we talked about it a little bit earlier. Probably someone was like, "Hey, let's all get together and protest."
Other side
and
found
then the
out
other
about
side
it.
saw that, and you're like, "Hey, let's get together too and
so
protest."
it's a counter protest, not a.
They're not like close to each other, but yeah, it's basically.
I think it's probably one of those things like they're getting a lot of attention right now, so we should do it too, so we also get attention
Yeah,
to
could
take
be.
away from their attention.
Yeah.
This is all fighting for attention.
Yeah.
With YouTube.
Yeah.
But as far as what's actually going on over there in the Mideast, do you know how it popped off to begin with, Marty?
Mid-East
Yeah.
Middle East.
thing. Yeah. No, I listen to the news in the morning like most people do, you know. But you know, whenever I'm making breakfast and stuff like that,
Okay.
and they don't really stay on topic. Like
Yeah.
they kind of start talking about it, and then you can tell like it's gonna get heated. So they'll change topics to like, well, I mean it's still on it's on the topic, but they kind of focus on like what money is being spent
Yeah.
and you know who's to blame in everybody's opinion. You know.
So what made it pop off to begin with is Hamas, which is a terrorist organization / government of the Gaza Strip, Palestine.
That's one thing that I being uneducated on the whole
Yeah.
situation.
They
I don't know if they're representative
It's
of
that-
all of Palestine or just Gaza.
they hang glided into a music festival. Parachuted
Yeah.
into an Israeli music festival and murdered and kidnapped a bunch of people.
they got back on the parachute.
No.
They took off.
They took off down some underground
they
tunnels,
also-
Bugs Bunny style.
Broke down some walls,
Yeah,
raided some villages, and
How many people died? It was like 1,000 something.
I thought it was
A lot
like
of
200 or
people.
so. I thought it was like 200, or is that how many people got kidnapped?
I think
I don't
that's
remember.
how
There was a
many
certain
people
a
got
certain
kidnapped.
number of people got killed, and
But the
a certain
purpose.
number got kidnapped.
So you would think like
But this was a music festival.
right
Yeah.
a festival for peace.
Okay.
That's correct, right?
I don't know what kind of music or what their message was.
Because
at
there was
that
people
music
from like all over the
festival,
world there. Like
yeah.
there was like a German people.
It was not like an anti-Palestine.
Yeah, it wasn't like
Yeah.
a political music festival, just a regular music festival.
And it was actually held secret. Like it was like a secret thing, right? Like that
I
they didn't
I don't
post it.
remember.
Not secret enough.
Well,
Really, yeah.
They didn't tell anybody about it till like last minute,
Mhm.
so that way they didn't have any instances of people coming and being violent and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, and so last second they have a festival, whatever. Hamas comes in and attacks. Hamas.
I feel bad for the person who was like, I better let them know that this is going on, and then ultimately was probably killed in the ambush. You know?
I doubt that the festival was really that secret, because to pull off what they did, it had to have been a lot of planning and everything.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds
Well,
right.
they had
To-
parachutes.
to
I'm just going off of
parachute in
what
there, yeah,
what
that's
they
not
were
like-
telling.
Yeah, that's true.
And a destruction
So
plan.
rightly, Israel gets pissed, and so
They want retribution.
They want their retribution.
They also
so
want to get the hostages back.
They want to get the hostages back, and so right now they're bombing.
And so,
Well, hold on, let's
so
do
then
the-
how do we get involved?
So here's the timeline.
We're ride or die with Israel.
We're
Yeah,
allies
government.
we're
Right,
perpetual.
We're 187 ride or die.
But here's why though. Israel is like the only democracy in the Middle East. They're like they're our ally in the Middle East. If
I know. Yeah,
if something
I know,
happens
I
with
get
them,
that part, yeah.
we have to back them because that's the sole representative.
Okay.
And so now America, well, for the longest time, because this has almost been a month, right?
Yeah.
So almost a month ago, America. Okay, wait, way to go back.
Okay.
So then, after the attacks, you start getting people all over the world, like throwing protests and stuff pro-Palestine.
Uh-huh.
But what ends up happening
Well, that
is
was after Israel counterattacked.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So after
And
the
how did they counterattack?
yeah, go.
Well, so the thing about Hamas is that they like to use human shields and civilians as cover. And Israeli is like, we don't care, use all the civilians as cover you want, we're still going to bomb you. So now a bunch of Palestinian people have died, you know, a lot of them innocent bystanders because Hamas likes to use human shields.
Yeah.
Now people are mad at Israel for that.
So that right there is wherein lies the entire problem with this conflict. Is it all depends on how you view the way Hamas is situated within Palestine and whether or not you agree that the Palestinians are allowing it to happen.
So why
Right,
is
is
this
that fair?
Why is this any more volatile than the war in Ukraine?
Well, because Ukraine was just the obvious victim of Russia.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in Palestine and Israel, it goes back even further.
Okay.
Back in the 50s, the British, as the 50s or 40s, like it was
I
like
think it was like 1947 or 48, right?
so
Right?
Britain
After World War II.
Britain owned
It was like
well
47 or
before World
48.
War II. I thought is when the British Mandate
Yeah.
was controlled. So the
But after
area
World War II, that's when they gave
they divvied it up. So the entire area that is Israel Palestine
Uh-huh.
in totality was called the British Mandate, and it was owned and controlled by the British Empire, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
So after World War II, or was it after World War II or during World War II? I thought it was during because Britain told both sides, told the Israelis.
It had to have been after
Told,
because they had their hands full during
Yeah.
World War II.
So it was something that they were telling them that they had to like earn the land. Like they said, fight for us and y'all can have the land. But they told that to Israel and Palestine, or the Palestinians or whatever,
Okay.
and the Israelites, right?
Yeah.
So basically, two groups are fighting for a chunk of
Same
land.
piece of land.
And it's kind of on Britain and kind of the United Nations at the time for not being a little better with it. Because if you ever look at those maps, and we weren't really prepared for this conversation, we're kind of just going off of whatever. But if you ever look at the map when they divvied it up, dude, it looks like polka dots.
Mm-hmm.
It's like this section is Palestine, this section's
so
Israel,
yeah,
this
yeah,
section's
so
Palestine.
I caught up to that point.
So
where
there
it
was
like they were talking about how they wanted to basically just get the land back.
Well, here's what ended up happening though.
Okay.
So what ends up happening is Israel and Palestine are both shown this deal that says y'all get this land, you get this land. Israel's like, sweet, we didn't have any land before. Palestine's like, I don't care for that deal. We want all of our land back.
Yeah.
And so that's the problem. The problem is that Israel was promised something rightfully from the people who owned it at the time. And so they are fighting. Then they had a big civil war. Is that the 7-Day War or whatever they always talk about?
Yeah.
So they had a war between Israel, Palestinians against each other after all that planning and divvying up went and took place. And so what ended up happening was Israel kind of won. So they did a land grab and started grabbing more and more territory. And so every inch of land that they take is just more fuel for the Palestinians who don't like it. Mm-hmm. And so then flash forward all the way to, was it 2005? The hotly contested area of Gaza for years and years, Israel pulls out of.
Yeah.
They pull completely out of, and which, in their absence, Hamas takes over. Elected, they were elected, right? They held elections, if we want to do it in quotes.
Yeah, they held elections, and so Hamas is basically the government,
The ruling party.
but everything is still basically controlled by Israel. There is no Hamas Department of Transportation. There's no Hamas Department of Public Works or whatever.
Yeah.
They still depend basically on the electricity, everything. They still depend on Israel.
And so during the conflict, now I say conflict, but after the attack from Hamas, and Israel said we're coming in and we're just going to get our hostages, right? But then they stopped. How long was it delayed? Like weeks, right?
Yeah, America came in. They were like, "Hold up, hold up, hold up. Let's
Pump the brakes. What we think, though, and I think it's fair to assume that it was to avoid public affairs nightmare of them bombing
They
willy-nilly.
were trying to buy some time to try to get some hostages, and plus, a lot of Arab nations in the area were kind of like, Israel killing a lot of Arabs. We don't like that.
Yeah. But also it was found out pretty early on that it was Iran that backed Hamas, right?
I think, it's known that Iran, gives them money, but Iran, like, they fund a lot of terrorists.
So then after that attack happens in the north of Israel, Hezbollah from Lebanon, they start shooting rockets into Israel. So Israel's like, okay, you shoot rockets, we shoot rockets.
I don't think they've done that, have they?
Yeah,
What?
I think I did see that.
There was something up in the north.
That's been going on.
They were talking
That's
about
been going on for weeks.
the Iron Shield,
That's absolutely been going on.
where they were sending the rockets, but this thing just was intercepting every single one.
I don't remember reading Hezbollah already getting in there.
Look at that. It's like a quick Google. It's a quick Google.
Okay. Well,
That's a quick Google.
All right, you guys keep talking. I'll Google
And
it.
so basically, okay, so all of that's happening. Like, everybody around the world's been doing the protests. So now in America you have, because I think America is the largest population of Jews outside of Israel, right?
Probably.
I think that's true.
World War II.
And so basically now in our country, in other countries, I think France banned protests, right?
Just the first headline I see says Hezbollah leader stops short of entering Gaza conflict. That was 2 days ago.
Can you look up the quick Google search? Has Hezbollah fired rockets into Israel?
Okay, keep going.
But so basically, Israel's all alone in the Middle East, and there's a ton of Arab nations that are sympathetic towards Palestinians, and so that's the conflict.
Well, you also kind of gloss over the fact that through the years when Israel was in charge, they did do a whole bunch of humanitarian, atrocities.
And so
they have a reason not to like them.
Humanitarian.
Yeah. So there's a reason why they're not well liked.
Yeah.
But that is part of the dilemma. The dilemma is, do you fault Israel for being too harsh on a group of people who they feel, not me, but they feel like is constantly a threat to their way of life and peace? You know what I mean?
What peace? All I hear about is war.
It's nothing but conflict.
Okay, I do see here, yes, that Hezbollah did fire.
They fire like a couple of rockets.
Missiles.
But I don't think it's not like a continuous.
But I don't think this is like them throwing their hat in. I think this is just, because terrorist organization, you can only have so much control. So I think it was just some dudes.
That's
it wasn't
why
like official.
That's why when they fire and Israel fires back, it's like they're just throwing rockets.
I heard about our involvement was we had finally received casualties on our end, right?
I know some Americans have died, but they were like hostages.
What they were saying was there was no casualties due to let's say live rounds being fired. It was like the sounds of bombs falling scared a dude. He ran inside and ended up dying of a heart attack, and they counted that as a casualty.
That's COVID. Remember COVID? How the doctors were telling him to put COVID as the death?
Yeah.
They're trying to pad numbers.
Yeah, right.
This guy wouldn't have died if it wasn't for the rocket,
right?
Right.
And so he was like, he was in some form of leadership over there, and so I think they counted that as our first casualty. He passed away because he had a heart attack due to the concern that was going through his mind.
So people, have been sniping back and forth, right? I'm talking about like commenters and stuff. Do you remember that episode of Seinfeld where I guess someone was gay and every time they mention it, they gotta go, not that there's anything wrong with that.
They thought Seinfeld and George were gay.
Yeah. And so every time they talk about it, they go, not that there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
That's kind of what's been happening with this conflict. Anytime you criticize Israel, you have to double back and say, of course, what Hamas did was bad.
Do y'all smell beans or something?
Yeah.
It could be
Not
these
because-
Yellowstone chili.
Yeah, this air did kick on, and I started smelling something.
Someone's probably
Okay.
cooking.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's basically what it's like.
Everyone trying to dance around to not like let your opinion be too not known, but there's such a high, what is it, nuance. There's such a high
If you
level
say
of nuance.
that you're against Israel, all of a sudden now you're anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
even if you
It's polarizing. It's
the
polarizing.
slightest
That's
like criticism, and now you're an anti-Semite.
that's by design, because that's what Israel's been doing for a long time. They want to say that anytime you criticize the state of Israel, you're criticizing all Jewish people.
Wow,
Yeah.
sounds
Which is
pretty
obviously
anti-Semitic word,
crazy.
isn't it?
Chill out, dude.
But that's what Israel's been trying to do for a long time.
Okay, so another issue that popped up when all of this started
Mhm.
was people were conflating Hamas with Palestine.
Yeah.
And so in the very beginning, you had a lot of people posting, like, I think Black Lives Matter posted the picture of the
Yeah,
parachuters.
they did.
It's poor
Mhm.
choice. That's probably not what they meant.
Bunch of
Yeah.
uneducated people.
Yeah.
Shooting
I'm gonna
off
be
their
honest
mouths
with y'all.
before they
Like,
learn
this
what's-
sounds pretty run of the mill. Like this sounds.
Yeah, I mean,
This sounds
this-
like exactly
yeah,
what you
this-
hear
this
about.
shit has been
all
going
It's
on
all
forever.
political at
Yes.
this point.
And so I
Yes.
think it's more of this is the flavor of the week for the media to finally start going ahead and bumping up those ratings. Like I get it. I get it.
any kind of
I
They're
get
definitely milking.
It's
it.
definitely
War is
a
always
conflict,
a- Yeah.
but I'm gonna be
any
honest.
kind of
like, it
is a
sounds
huge
mover and a
conflict
shaker.
like this is always going to be a huge rating.
Like
thing for the
Solid
news.
Snake said, war never changes.
But
I-
in part
I
4, he
gotta,
says
like,
war has
disagree with
changed.
that.
Oh, yeah, right. Shit. I'm thinking of, what's his name from... What the hell is the game?
That opens up in every war game.
thinking of-
every
you're thinking
single
of
one they
Splatoon
always
2.
do.
No, it's Ron Perlman. He does the voice, right?
Oh,
Was
Fallout?
it Fallout, where he says, war never changes?
Yeah, uh-huh.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they all.
But yeah,
all
you're
say-
right. It's wars changed. ID tag soldiers carrying ID tag weapons in ID tag battlefields.
Yes.
I'm David Hayter.
He came out and he did for the collection.
Yeah, I
Did
saw
he say
that
something?
commercial,
Yeah, he came out and he sounds like me. Like he doesn't sound.
He talks real low.
Yeah, he's
Sounds
like,
Hispanic.
Hi, I just want to talk about the new Metal Gear. And I was like, my
David
God.
Hayter, if you're watching, I
Mhm.
promise he's going to be punished after the show
Oh.
for making fun of your voice, my friend.
No,
Whoa.
I'm just saying. I was expecting the Solid Snake voice.
Yes,
you know?
Dude, he sounds like that.
But he didn't sound like that in the commercial.
He does a regular speaking voice in
Yeah,
Yakuza
yeah.
Like a Dragon. He has a voice. He's the bartender.
But he was like,
Oh,
Metal
right.
Gear
And I
has
heard him
changed
and
the
I said,
face of video gaming
"What?
since
I know that voice."
2001. There's not been any other video game that has progressed or shown. And I
Came
was
out
like,
before
damn, that
2001.
sounds nothing like Solid Snake. So for him, but what I'm saying is,
David
for him
Hayter,
to
when you
have
show up for that
range-
interview, Marty won't be here.
when he has that range where it's like, okay, he's got his regular speaking voice, and you know then he's actually playing a character when it comes to
Yeah.
Solid Snake,
You
which
can
is cool.
You can hear like a little bit of the Solid Snake.
Not in that commercial. That's what I'm saying. It's like you
God
can't
damn it.
tell, you can't tell.
I thought when we were talking about the new, I guess the re-release earlier, I thought this was pretty interesting. Caleb, you were saying you were having a lot of trouble playing the first game, right?
Hey, man, I didn't want to talk about that on camera.
Oh, you did
Nah.
it?
Yeah.
That was just between bros, man.
20 years I had been putting off playing. Well, let's go back. 20 years is 2003. Metal Gear
Yes.
Solid 3 came out in 2004, right?
I know Metal Gear Solid 2 came out in
2001.
2001.
Wait, hold on.
Right after September 11th.
Let's cap that last conversation by saying we hold, at least in my opinion, we have no opinion. At least, right? I mean, there's not. Just so that we don't brush over the fact that we were just talking about something that's so.
I have an opinion, but I don't feel the need to share
Nah,
it.
you don't got to share it, right?
Yeah, I
so
don't
that's
feel
what I'm
like-
saying is like I think we're gonna open up the comments to like a floodgate of people who are like, you're
All,
wrong
like,
here, you're
10
wrong there.
people.
Yeah.
Maybe
I
but-
think that
We got Johnny in there. We got Daniel Ordunez.
that
Maybe Art or Benny will
It's-
pop in.
in that situation, right?
Mhm.
There is no it's not no right and wrong in war, because there's obviously going to be rights and wrongs.
Depends on which war
Well,
you're
there are
talking about.
treaties.
Well, I'm talking about like this conflict between Israel and Hamas. I keep looking this way, like if it's just sitting right over this direction.
Over there.
But like there's going to be rights and wrongs. People are going to do good. People are going to do bad no
Two
matter
wrongs
what.
don't make it right.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it did.
A negative does cancel a negative.
Yeah.
But I think what people need to realize is
Math jokes.
how do you separate Hamas from Palestine without offending Palestinians?
I don't think
I
they
think
really
you just
consider
did it.
Hamas to, like, yeah, they're
Yeah,
like,
as we talked about before, there's no like for real. There's no governmental agencies that Hamas actually handles the normal government stuff. There's no Medicaid office.
It's a
for
bad
Hamas.
situation.
Yeah,
they're
just-
hoping just to live their lives. They're not like worshiping Hamas. That's not like,
It
Yeah.
seemed. It
But
They're not
they're
ride
under
or
the
die.
boot. They're under the boot of.
yes.
Yeah.
It seems like a situation that's just going to end with more conflict because
But-
they're
well,
just
see, that's the
they're
thing.
looking to conflate it.
So
more
see, that's
and
the
more
thing
and more
is Israel has the idea that they want to eliminate Hamas,
yeah.
but with every step at eliminating Hamas, there's so many civilian casualties that they're just creating something that's going to take its place.
They're creating their own enemies.
And so think of America in Iraq and Afghanistan and stuff, right? Now, I'm not sympathetic towards Hamas in any way.
Yeah.
They don't need to be there. They're a problem. But the Palestinians are kind of stuck in the middle. And Israel's being criticized for not having the is it careless? It's not, they're being called careless or wanton destruction. I don't know how to phrase it, but it's callous. They're being callous when it comes to choosing targets and stuff. But this is why it's so complicated, is because Hamas has built underground tunnels and underground networks of locations and bunkers and hideaways underneath hospitals and schools.
Civilian centers.
It's like, how do you get rid of the problem without there being collateral damage? And so that's where I feel like everybody who's not over there making decisions needs to kind of chill. You know what I mean?
Well, it doesn't help the fact that they're like, you need to leave, but then they close all the ways to leave.
Yeah. But here's the thing,
Yeah.
too. Okay, this is important to note because I kind of found it funny because I didn't believe it at first. I thought it was media rhetoric and stuff, right? Because they were like, it's in the Hamas charter, the destruction of Israel. And I was like, shut up. It is. Like, that's the purpose of that group, is to rid the entire area of their former Palestine of all Israelis and Israelites.
I like how they completely destroyed the communications network, and then Israel released a video saying, "Hey, you better get out," and it was in English also. So how the people of Palestine supposed to see this video if you just completely obliterated their communications network?
Well, don't a lot of them speak English?
But what I'm saying, they don't have cell phone service.
Yeah.
They don't have internet service.
There's no way to
they
get
don't have
any
TV
video.
service.
Ah.
How are they supposed to see or hear this message?
They cut power. They don't let water in. They cut power. But see, here's the two sides of every coin. They cut all of this stuff in the years past, right? They're given aid, millions of dollars. They give them they're trying to help them build infrastructure by building water tunnels. What is the word? Piping and stuff.
This reminds me of something. What were those apartments where Gloria used to live?
Embassy Suites.
The Embassy Suites. So the Embassy Suites.
Hamas is at Embassy.
Here recently, they started saying, okay, if you have pets that are like over 85 pounds, we're
Oh
gonna
my God.
we're gonna charge you twice. We're gonna
Who
charge
the
you.
hell?
We're gonna charge you as if though you have 2 dogs,
That's kind of messed up.
right?
85 pounds is pretty big for a dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
It's a
pretty
big
sure. But so like,
It weighs more than Penny.
and so like they were like, okay, so if you have a dog, and so, but what the people in the Embassy Suites had to do was they had to create an account to a place where they would pay for having a dog over that weight limit, right?
Okay.
But they had to pay a personal account fee in order to even be able to pay it in the first place. So they were having to pay 3 times for the same issue.
Okay.
So what does this have to?
Yeah, so Israel's
If-
making them
You lost me.
pay.
If they're doing that and all that shit is happening,
They
get
gotta
up,
pay for a
pack your
bigger
shit,
dog.
and leave.
So that is
That's
the other
That's
argument.
the point. Is
Yeah,
that
Yeah.
can't.
they can't because there's only a few areas to
Bro,
leave
listen,
from.
Well, I think
If
it's
if
not.
you're gonna charge me 3 times for the same thing, I'm out of there, dude.
What if they
I'm.
blockade the door and
It's,
you?
it's easy to say that now that all of the conflict is happening.
Uh-huh.
But I think when he says that, what he's meaning is, as these problems happen,
They were there already.
they've been there for
Yeah.
years.
Yeah, but even if they wanted to leave, you need money, you need transportation, and what country wants to let them in?
Yeah, that's the other thing is that some people are trying to leave,
Egypt,
and every
Egypt's not letting
country's
them
like,
in.
See, but you
yeah,
said
no, we don't want you.
You highlighted Egypt. What about all of their buddies in Iran and Iraq and
See-
Syria and
See, that's
Jordan?
what some people are saying.
None
like,
of them want them
like-
either.
like other countries in the Middle East are doing nothing to try and solve this conflict.
Right.
You know, Saudi Arabia, with all their oil money, they could, if they really, really wanted to, they could go very far to help try to figure out this situation.
They're building the line.
But
they
I'm
need
pretty
people to live
sure-
there.
I'm pretty
But-
sure those
but
people
They
they're
need
would
not.
people to
move,
live there.
and they would probably move to Embassy Suites.
Okay.
You know,
They don't got dogs that weigh no 85 pounds.
yeah, that's what I'm saying, right?
Well, you
so
also
they've got
understand
plenty
that
of vacancy there.
it's not like this is just some like apartment. This land is important to them. It
Yeah,
has
that's
true, yeah.
historical importance to them.
right,
Right.
And so
But
it's not as
If
easy
you're
as
having
just
to
going.
pay for the same thing 3 times, dude, that's historical as it is. You just gotta bounce, bro.
I get why some of them want to stay, but I also feel like, right, they are conditioning everyone for there to never be peace.
Right.
So like every time something
Wait,
happens,
who's the they in this sentence?
all sides.
Okay.
All sides in the conflict, in the disagreements
That's what it
are
sounds like. Yeah.
it's generational trauma. That's all it is.
Because
Yeah,
it's
it's
like you
kids
can't
growing
leave
up.
because this land belongs to you. Well, this land belongs to us, but
they
this is
have
what,
a plan for peace.
which is
Glass the
Eradicate
entire area.
you what?
You glass the entire
both
area.
sides.
Glass?
Both sides' version of peace is literally get rid of the other.
Genocide. Yeah.
Glass? What is that?
It is. It's a,
When
it's a,
sand gets superheated,
it
it turns
turns
into
to
glass.
glass. Yeah. So when you hear glass, it's usually in reference to a Middle Eastern country.
Yes.
that's so dumb.
You won't hear that in like Ukraine or something.
Yeah.
Over there, they'll be like
But that
rubble
is
eyes.
their plan. Like, you have people showing, like, this is the future of it, and it's basically a large parking lot where the Gaza Strip is.
So what do you do if both sides?
That is the plan for peace, is one side
Nobody
has to
wants
die.
to give in. Nobody wants to do this. Nobody wants to do
Yeah,
that.
no one wants to compromise.
Nobody wants to compromise. So how do you divvy it up, right?
Yeah.
And so you go back in time with Terminator to 1958 or whatever it was, or hell, you can go back 3,000 years to ancient
Stop the British
Judea.
from doing it.
Yeah.
But it's a good example. Like the closest thing I could think of to compare it to was like when America came to the when we came to America, or your settlers came to America,
Yeah.
and the Native Americans started losing properties and how they were disorganized. They had no organization versus the
Well,
settlers
I
that were
think
coming in.
They did, but it was whitewashed. You know, it was. There was no central government, right?
in
there
comparison to is what I
Right,
mean.
right. Yeah.
They didn't
So that-
have land ownership was not a concept.
Right,
for
right,
them.
right.
Right.
Land
So-
was for everyone,
for
not for a
everybody,
particular
yeah.
person.
Yeah, and so
So they didn't see a problem with them coming and settling in because
Right.
it was just
It was
part of
open.
the like
so
the
differing
nuanced land.
ideals and an organized group of people came and expansion and all that blah blah blah. That's the closest thing I could think of.
I think a better comparison would be if they lived in Embassy Suites and they had a really big dog.
And they had to pay 3 times.
They had to pay 3 times.
I concur. I do concur on that one. I think that's a great analogy.
It just sucks because
The analogy or the situation?
No, the situation. Like it feels like it's bled over into like modern everyday life with protests and it just. I feel like most people who go to those protests are just part of the problem. On both sides.
These people
they see the answer.
That protest, both sides of the protest, both of those protests, nothing they're doing tonight is helping anything whatsoever.
So
they're just wasting
have
their
an
time.
opinion. However,
Embassy Suites needs
Embassy
to work on.
Suite, if anything comes from this, please call Embassy Suites. All right, their main number, and let them know that they are charging their residents way too much.
But Embassy Suites, if you're watching this, come on the show. We'll talk about it because I feel like we need to get to the bottom of this.
That's proper. That would be a proper protest. You know?
Is Embassy Suites has the answer for peace in the Middle East?
Well, yeah. I mean, you could do the same thing. You know, it's like, hey, you lived here 3 generations. You'll be paying more than these Hamas who had just been here 1 generation. And then the Palestinians, well, you know, and the others, they'll agree. Like, okay, well, you know what? We'll pay 3 times the amount because we've been here longer.
We were talking. We got off on the. I guess we can move on from Israel.
Does anyone have any last thoughts on the Israel Hamas situation? Okay.
I didn't mean to laugh, but I was more so laughing at Kevin because that made me laugh. Not about the Hamas.
It is super serial
incident. It is super serial.
It's super serial, and so it kind of sucks because, like, it is scary to even think about. Like, didn't they already have people like killing randos? Did y'all see that guy that got killed?
I mean, yeah, there's been like hate crimes in America against both sides.
But did you see that cop that was killed at a mosque?
Oh yeah,
I didn't hear about that.
Did y'all hear anything after the initial whatever? Did they ever say why?
I never heard about it, no.
I was wondering about that because whenever the guy died or after he was shot, and it was like right after, maybe hours after, they were doing a press conference, and I was watching and I was like, why do they got the Union charter guy president there in the background? Why do they got this guy, that guy? And I'm sitting there and I'm like, what the hell? Because at that point, all I saw was, guy died at a mosque. So I thought, I guess they're trying to get ahead of the political, whatever happens. They're trying to poke it. They're going to blame it on a protest, blah, blah, blah. They're going to sympathize and all that. And then they said, oh, no, he was a cop. And I was like, oh, whoa, what? Oh, he's a retired cop? He's super old? Oh, whoa. And then it just kept going. And I was like, oh, damn. And then I didn't go back and look it up. I guess I forgot about it until this moment.
I guess my last thought is just, I hope that anyone who is not involved in Israel and whoever is not involved in Palestine doesn't have to. I hope you don't die because of some other bullshit that someone else started.
What a statement.
Also, too, people that are like, what's the word? My thing is protesters. Like, I get it. You want to be heard. You're sympathizing vocally and stuff, but come on.
Honestly, when was the last time a protest actually worked? Like the civil rights movement? Has a protest worked since then?
They're keeping it civil.
Vietnam.
Has it been civil? No, not in Florida. I saw there was one in Florida.
It's a protected action, man. They can protest if they want.
Yeah.
Nothing's going to come of it,
I'm not saying they can't protest. I'm just saying it's a waste of time.
It is a waste of time.
I remember the protests for, what were they trying to, Bobby Kotick and Activision and WoW, and they were telling people not to play.
Gamer protests never work and will never work. I'm going to go on record and say a gamer protest will never work, ever, ever, never.
Whenever the
you
Harry
have
Potter...
so much energy and passion
towards anti-protest.
When it came to that issue.
Because it's so...
You were like, yeah, the Hamas and
it's so unbelievably stupid.
But you mentioned that.
Gamer protest, the people that do that are so dumb.
When he was talking, whenever
they
the Harry Potter...
live at NBC.
What about the Reddit protest?
Oh, I don't know about that.
That was dumb. They were dumb too.
Wait, what happened with Reddit?
Reddit, they were going to disable like third-party mods or whatever, and so a lot of different Reddits, I don't know what they're called, pages,
Threads.
whatever. They decided to go black for a day, so like nothing was posted, and it was just like an empty screen.
Well, that's racist.
Yeah, and the CEO came out. He's on record saying, "Guys, don't worry about this protest. It's gonna be over in a day, and we'll be back to normal."
Did he
and that's
really?
exactly what happened.
That's pretty cool.
I bet that's what what's her name thought. Drew Barrymore.
Are they still mad at
I don't
her
know what you're talking about.
for the strikes?
She got
yeah,
canceled for
when she broke the line?
She didn't do anything.
Across the line?
Man.
She said, "I got a lot of people who want to work, and I want to get them paid."
That's it.
Well, it's like, do they write for her
what's
show?
So wrong
There
with
was
that?
writers, and they're like, we're just gonna go on without the writers.
I mean, that should tell you a lot for.
On the
We don't have
subject-
any writers.
On the subject of gamer protests, Video Game Donkey did the perfect video about it. He just put together just a whole collage or whatever of controversy after controversy after controversy in the gaming world, and none of it ever changed.
It was all the women bashing stuff.
No, just like
so we
so like
know-
the Gearbox guy, the Blizzard stuff, just any gamer,
Randy Pitchford?
yeah, any gaming controversy you can think of, just everything basically went back to normal after.
So we
any
know
kind of
who
protest.
Kevin is subscribed to.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
hilarious. You don't like Video
Who?
Game
Oh,
Donkey?
Donkey? Dude, Donkey's funny.
Yeah.
I never watched.
That dude's very funny.
Yeah,
No, I
yeah.
just
I think
I
that
just-
guy is like one of the
I
most
find it
underrated
really
comedians
funny.
and funny
Yeah,
voices.
he's really good.
You
yeah.
became like you flipped a switch, you know.
I'm a fan.
Mm-hmm.
Of Donkey?
Yeah.
You like to dunk?
No, just like his.
Can you? And you played basketball for a lot of years. Did you ever dunk?
No, dude, I'm white and I'm short.
You never jumped
not
off of
very
someone's
athletic.
back?
You're not that short.
Jump off someone's back. Jim Carrey
I'm
did
still
it.
too high.
I've dunked.
I've
No
dunked
donuts?
I've dunked donuts. Oh man, I was about to say that. Damn.
I got dunked in a dunk tank at the church Fall
I've
Fest
never
one
done
time. They were like, "We need people to sit up there," and I was like, "I'll do it." And then I sat up there. Was it that one? I think so. And then I sat there, and they were like, "No one ever hit it," and I was like, "Good," because I'm sitting up there cracking knuckles and shit.
Mhm.
Don't hit that fucking button. And that little kid's like, "Ah."
All right, so
Oh, fuck
do we
y'all.
want to circle back to Metal Gear or?
Let's go to Metal Gear.
No, let's
20
just-
years I was putting off replaying the game,
Metal Gear Solid 1.
Metal Gear Solid 1, because I played it when it first came out, stole it off of a girl that was living with us. Shout out Kat. It wasn't hers, it was like her brother's, and it's a long story. But it'd actually be a really funny tangent.
Stealing is not good.
But don't steal. But I jacked that shit, and I played it for like 2 or 3 years straight. I loved it. I had the unofficial strategy guide, so they had the real life pictures of the weapons from the game.
I remember those, the official strategy guys and the unofficial ones.
Yeah. And so it was definitely the unofficial one, and it had like all the pictures of like real claymores, and that's how I learned about all these weapons and stuff.
Rip
It's
strategy
really
guides,
cool.
by the way.
And so anyway, 20 years goes by, and every couple years I would tell myself like, oh, I don't need to play it. I know that game through and through. And it is true. I still do remember like all the story points and everything. But I put it on the other day, and that shit was fucking muddy gray character on a muddy gray background on a blue muddy gray. And it was just it's almost impossible for me to play if I did not have Jen over my shoulder being like, oh, there's a laser, there's a camera,
Squares on top of squares on top of squares.
dude, it's
So
bad.
I'm wondering
or
what
for
if-
me it's bad for
So
me.
I'm wondering if the type of TV has to do anything with it, because isn't there a thing between
I could turn-
CRTs and new TVs with
Yeah.
like with
Yeah.
the
There's some, but also due to like lag on some things. But this game should be optimized because it's basically
Okay.
running off of the
emulator.
well, it's an emulator, yeah. But the last time they did an Ultimate Collection, they already had like good TVs. They were using RC TVs.
Yeah, and also they did update the game. So like instead of whenever they say press the select button, Snake, and then instead of select button on the
Options,
bottom it
right.
says touchpad.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, oh shit, touchpad. You know, press the start button, options pop menu, little icon
you-
pops up.
So you have been working your way through it a little bit.
Yeah, I'm almost at the end already. Like And it's because it's not really a long game. Like everything is really just backtracking. You know, the first half of the game is like in the first building. The second half is kind of in the second, and then you come back to the first, and it takes. You could literally run through every single map in like 10 minutes. It's not that big.
That's why in part 4 it does take so little time to go through.
Yeah.
So there's basically no accessibility features whatsoever.
No, it's a PS1 game.
Now compare that to Spider-Man 2 that just came out.
I was
you were
trying
telling
to-
me before that you were loving the accessibility features on that.
So for me, with my I kind of have color blindness a little bit, right? I have a little bit of color blindness, and also absent, mangled garbage of nonsense color in here, right? Static. I call it static. Side note, I need to tell y'all about visual snow. Have y'all ever heard about visual snow?
Doesn't sound familiar.
Y'all look that up, because remember how I was telling you how I always see a light show?
Oh.
Basically, visual snow is not the same as RP. RP is a lack of vision in my central area, right? Or my peripheral area. But visual snow is something that occurs in addition to. It's like a brain thing.
Mm.
It's literally a brain thing that my brain is seeing visual snow. It's crazy.
So-
I didn't even...
So the psychiatrist was right.
Well, I guess that would make sense
Maybe.
because your eyes are still having to readjust to the change.
Well, no, the visual snow can come from like trauma. I didn't know if it meant physical or like mental, but like
I'm sure
trauma
it's
can
the same.
trigger it. Mental conditions, not mental conditions, but like tumors. So I'm like, uh-oh. But basically, there's like a lot of things that can cause it, but science doesn't really know. The medical, society or
Let me read this real quick. Visual snow is a form of visual hallucination that is characterized by the perception of small, bilateral, simultaneous, diffuse, mobile, asynchronous dots, usually throughout the entire visual field,
Yeah.
but it can be partial, and it is present in all conditions of illumination, even with the eyes closed.
So when my eyes are closed, I'm legit still seeing a constant array of images. It's nuts. And I thought that was just RP. So for all these years, I've been telling people like, yeah, man, it's like a light show. I can see TV static. That's the best way to describe it, is TV
You
static.
keep saying RP, and for the people who don't know, I think that's retinitis pigmentosa, right?
Yes. Retinitis pigmentosus.
Classic.
If you say it with the S at the end, it's more impactful.
Okay.
But Spider-Man, I say all that to say this. Spider-Man 2 has some of, if
Pronounced
not
Spider-Man.
the absolute best accessibility features in any game I've ever played.
Shout out to Sony.
Insomniac specifically. They so like I can turn. They have contrast options, so I can change everything to basically shades of black and white, and then I can put color shaders on each bad guy. But then they go one step further, and it's like regular enemies are red. I can make, and you can choose all the different colors, right? So like regular enemies I put as red, and then ranged enemies I put as yellow, and then next level up is like a light blue, and then a dark blue, and then a whatever. You know what I mean?
I think you could do this in Batman as well.
Arkham City
Yeah.
or Arkham Asylum?
Yeah.
No, you just played with detective mode.
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. Maybe you're right.
And I'm gonna tell you something. I absolutely did.
Yeah.
Most people did anyway.
Yeah, there's no reason to play that game. And then remember in Arkham City, they were like, well, now when you walk around, detective mode goes away. And I was like, oh, I guess I'm not finishing Arkham City. You know what I mean? I ain't trying to fly everywhere and then stop at a fucking building and then look across in detective mode. Like, just let me play with detective mode, dude.
Yeah.
Batman's got the feature. Was he run out of bat batteries? Or batteries?
Five Nights at Freddy's, we
Good
ran out
one.
of batteries to control the doors.
Five Nights at Freddy's? Do you play that game?
No, I have a life.
Ooh,
Thank you.
Roasted.
Thank you. Boom roasted. Five Nights at Freddy's. I
Um,
hate that shit.
so accessibility options good, and as far as gameplay,
Some of the best. It's basically Batman Arkham Knight in Arkham City. It's but better because did I tell you all about the
I
flight?
was gonna say something about Five Nights at Freddy's because I'm like, why so much hate on Five Nights at Freddy's?
Because it's so stupid, dude.
What's so stupid about it?
When I look at it,
well, the actual game itself is just you staring at the security camera, right? That's like the
It's
original
Night Trap.
game.
It's Night Trap, basically.
So the movie, what did they do for the movie? I didn't even
The
watch
movie,
it.
it's more or less based off, I think it's the third game.
It's already out.
Yeah, it's already out. It's also already out on streaming. You can watch it on Peacock.
Oh,
You have Peacock, Caleb?
No, I canceled all
Oh, I
that.
thought you had Peacock.
Basically, the only ones we have now is Netflix and Disney.
Okay.
And I'm going to cancel the shit out of Disney when that price goes up. Boo!
I didn't know it was going up.
I think
They're all increasing their prices.
Yeah.
But anyway, Five Nights at Freddy's.
Basically, a bunch of robots are possessed by kids, and they kill people.
The
possessed
children
by
kill people?
kids' ghosts?
Yes. That's how they get possessed. They have to be
They're
dead
still alive. But, yeah.
and I mean, like,
They could have telekinesis.
so
Telekinesis.
the children were killed by the owner of the place.
Pizza establishment.
Yeah, and so like
It is a pizza place?
Yeah.
So it's straight up Chuck E. Cheese.
it's more or
Yeah.
less Chuck E. Cheese's. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did y'all hear about the Chuck E. Cheese issue that came up?
No.
During Halloween, they were like, "Oh, we're having a come stay 5 nights at Chuck E.'s,"
Shit, can we
Yeah,
get
no.
like free pizza?
Nope.
and so they
You wouldn't go do that for
but-
free pizza?
like 5 Nights at Freddy's.
Well, we're kind of old. I guess
no,
they wouldn't
I
let
can-
us.
I can afford all the pizza I want to eat without having to.
Anyway,
No, go ahead, Martin.
motherfuckers. So they sent out like an employee statement, right? And they were like, "We don't know what 5 Nights at Freddy's is."
They didn't know before they started that thing?
They sent that to their own employees. Like, if people were asking about 5 Nights at Freddy's, we don't understand what that is. We had no idea that.
So they're both playing dumb. They're telling them to play dumb.
Basically, yeah. Probably just trying to, cover themselves legally for using that as, I guess, because they're not gonna pay royalties for using, I guess, the image
Their own.
of.
Y'all don't miss that kind of stuff, like the lock-ins at Peter Piper's and stuff.
No.
I know we only ever went to like one,
No.
like as a group, but it was fun.
I guess as an adult who has children now, and I understand what would happen at those things, I wouldn't allow my children to stay.
What do you mean?
anyways.
What happened? We went to those and we were
Yeah,
fine.
what happened at those things, Marty? Tell us.
Yeah, I mean, but that's different,
Why is that different?
What did y'all
Because you're
get up
talking
to?
about the ones for ROTC, or are you talking?
No, I'm talking
the
about
ones-
when we went to Peter Piper's for that lock-in and we played Tekken for like an hour and then we got bored and was like, hey, can we just leave?
Oh yeah. Okay, no. So there used to be some that they would hold at the mall. There was some at the churches that would take place too.
Church of Chicken?
Church's chicken.
No, I'm with him. Because I was like, wait, does he mean a church? He just said at the churches, right?
At churches.
I feel like that still could be chicken,
Sure,
dude.
I guess. I mean, yeah. I guess we're talking
Episcopal?
about restaurant.
Episcopal or chicken?
Okay, so they would have.
Wait, Episcopal.
They would have lock-ins.
What is fish?
Huh?
It's Episcopalian. What is
I have no
that?
idea.
It's pronounced Episcopal.
What?
Okay.
Episcopal?
Yeah. No, I'm saying like, what's the word for fish? It's pescatarian. What is
Oh,
the?
yeah,
Something like that,
pescatarian.
yeah.
Okay, there you go. Okay.
Yeah.
My brain is ADHD. It's my ADHD brain.
So
Okay.
tell us, Marty, what happened at your lock-in?
Just your average things that, just when kids try to be adults.
I
Yeah.
don't know what that means, but okay.
Oh, Kevin, come on.
I
You know what that means.
I know.
He didn't know where babies
Mind
come
link
from.
function.
Oh, okay.
Huh?
Mind link function.
Oh.
I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah. I mean,
Bang!
things happen at those places that you would think weren't happening because there was adult supervision. But, I mean, if you're a Caleb or a Greg at that time, you know how to deal with that.
I don't know, because me and Greg at lock-ins would just be drinking Dr. Pepper in stacking
Dr.
cups.
Pepper towers.
For as much as everybody
We went to a
knows,
dance one time, Kevin, and it was my freshman year. It would have been your junior year, right? And they were it was remember because the only time that we got up on the dance floor was they played Linkin Park. And so we got up when they played. I don't remember if it was One Step Closer or if it probably was One Step,
Probably
right?
one step closer.
And so this is 2001. This is like peak 2001. You know what I mean?
I got a story about
You
Linkin
sure
Park
that's not crawling
later
then?
on.
Because that sounds
No, that would have been the follow up. That would have been follow up.
Ah, okay.
But so we're sitting there, and we're drinking Dr. We went to the bar because they have a bar at the military ball.
Okay.
And so it was the gentleman's club, or it was like the officers club, right, or something like that.
At Shirley Temples.
And so they had like a whole bar set up, and we would go up and be like, "Can I get a Dr. Pepper and scotch? Hold the scotch." and they give us our Dr. Peppers, right? And so I'm sitting there, and we're gathering all these cups, and we're like, let's stack them. And so we made this gigantic ass tower of cups, and they made us take it down. Remember that?
Yeah. Then I think before we left, we did stack it back up again, take a picture, and like we could find like.
I don't have a copy of that. Do you have a copy of that picture? I need to find somebody who took that picture.
That's when you caught diabetes.
Dude, we had said it in years past. I have never believed that you could be so drunk or high off of sugar, but holy crap, dude! After drinking that many Dr. Peppers, I was like freaking Forrest Gump in the titular movie Forrest Gump. He had all them Dr. Peppers, and he was like, "I gotta pee." That's how it was the whole night, dude. We were just drunk off our ass on fucking sugar water.
All right, before we move on, what's your Linkin Park story?
Oh, well, it has to do with school. But we have to do like suicide training and whatnot.
Sweet coon.
Oh, yeah.
That's what we call it.
Suicide, whatever.
Suicide.
And like the person that was talking about was like, and have you heard about this song by this band named Linkin Park? Because her husband was there, and for like a minute they're trying to figure out the name of the band.
Oh my god!
And it was like. Yeah, and it's like it's one step closer, and you look at the music video, and I'm just sitting there going like,
"Shut up!
I know what you're talking about."
Well, what's the music video? I've never seen.
Shut up when I'm talking to you.
He's like over a sink, and there's like nails,
and he's got razor blades, and he's like,
yeah.
Wait, no, I can't even joke like that because he did kill himself.
Yeah,
He did kill
and that's all. Just like it's also really in poor taste because the guy did.
I legit take that back though. I legit take that back because that makes me sad.
But
I forgot
there
about
is
that.
a conspiracy on that.
Oh, stop it.
But I was just like, this person doesn't know what she's talking about. She is just picking random things from pop culture.
So did you let her know or what?
No, because she's one of the bit higher up people. I'm just like,
wait, your opinion was stifled because of her power
no,
above
I'm just
you?
like,
is that sexual harassment?
It's not worth anything.
No, I got you. Same exact story, different era. 2001, 2002. My aunt, shout out aunt and uncle if you know who you are. Love y'all. But if they're watching, I doubt they're watching. But whenever one time I went to my grandmother's house and we were talking about. You
know who you are too, Grandma.
We're talking about popular music or something, right? And my aunt was like, they all are in law enforcement and stuff, and she's like, you know what crawling in my skin means, right? And I was like, what? And she goes,
heroin.
It's methamphetamines. And I was like, I think he's got like depression.
Well, that's what Fastball was basically.
It's like a song. That's why I kept saying. I just remember saying like, it's just a song. It sounds good. You know, my dumbass little kid. can't argue.
Well, when I was
it could be.
When I was in middle school, like we had to write like a poem and you say like what you like and whatnot. One of my friends, he liked bare naked ladies, and the teacher was like, "You can't say that." And he had sex wax on there. It's like, "You can't say that. That's inappropriate. We're gonna have to write you up." He's like, "It's a band name, and sex wax is what you put on a surfboard. I like to surf." And they're like, "What?"
He knew what he was doing.
He was being winky.
Yeah, but I mean, the teacher just blew it way out of proportion.
I had tried for the longest time. You remember Miss Parks at Miller?
No.
She was like an English teacher my freshman year, and we had done a project, and she was like, y'all have to do whatever. You have to pick a popular song and a ballad. We were discovering like ballads in poetry, and she was like, you have to pick a popular song that is a ballad and write it all out, and then we'll listen to it in the class and we'll compare, right? Okay. And so I was like, I don't really listen to like bitch ass music, you know what I mean? Like, what's a ballad? And so I couldn't think of any, and then I found one.
Close Your Eyes by Aerosmith.
I didn't listen to that. So I found one. It was a freaking. I found an ICP song that was basically a ballad,
Magnets, how do they work?
No, it was I don't remember the name. Let's Go All the Way. I think it was Let's Go All the Way.
Was it
not
Homies?
Nuts.
No. But so I asked her. I go, "Oh, Miss Parks, can I use this song? It has one bad word, but I can edit it out. I can edit it out and get the clean version." No, and I was like, "Oh, fuck you, bitch." Fuck you, bitch.
What was the one bad word?
It was fuck. It was the F word, I guess.
The song is "Go All the Way." So.
Let's go all the way.
I'm surprised being ICP there was only one.
Yeah. Well, it was just that. Well, because they were doing a cover.
Oh.
That's a freaking cover. I didn't know that. They still managed to squeeze a bad word in there.
Okay, well.
That was when I learned I shouldn't have asked. I should have just edited it out and not said anything, and they would have never known.
For permission, then forgiveness.
I remember.
You got that backwards.
I did.
Yeah, you got it backwards.
I don't remember what grade it was. Probably like the 6th grade, when you still had to go to like where everyone had choir class basically, or music class, I guess is what they would call it.
Yeah.
5th grade.
And the teacher told us, Mr. Oliver, I have a funny story about him actually. He told us we could bring in a CD and we could play it for the class or whatever. And this was basically right when I was getting into Weird Al, so I bought in Brad Hair Day.
Classic.
And he was playing Gump, and the part where he goes, we talks about Jenny being a slut. he turned it down real quick when he said slut. He turned it back up.
So that means that he was aware of the song?
He had the lyrics.
Okay.
But anyway, later
That's
on,
pretty
after
cool.
I graduated high school or whatever, this teacher, I don't know if he got arrested or just fired, but turns out he had been, one of his ex-students, I don't know who the ex-student was, became a prostitute, and he was, partaking of her services.
Dang.
And so
that story got real quick.
Well, he definitely got fired, but I don't know.
But how old was the ex-student?
I think she was an adult, but
She
it's
was in
still,
her 40s.
but it was still like.
No, why?
It's
I mean, what's a prostitute?
What is the time frame that would have been okay though? If it was, say if she's in her 20s,
it's really
she's in her
never
20s.
okay.
Okay, so let's say she's in her 20s and he's
It's
in
still really never okay.
Okay, but hold on, wait. See, because
he wants to date her.
It starts to get.
I don't know if he was trying to date her. Or
It
not.
starts to get into kind of like questionable territory because he was probably like in his 30s,
Yeah.
and she would have been in her 20s. But what if he was like in his 50s and she was in her 40s? You gonna fire that dude?
Wait. If he was in his 50s and she was in her 40s, he wasn't teaching her at 10 years old.
That's true.
I really.
Damn, you saw right through my.
I have no idea who.
I can do math.
I have no idea who the student was, and I really have no idea how.
Okay,
how
he's
old
60
he
and
would have
she's
been,
in her
so.
40s.
He must have graduated early.
He could have been teaching her in his 20s. He was 20.
It could, but still, it's.
I'm not saying I would have done it.
Either way, I guess because you could say that he was grooming her.
It's a power dynamic still from.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just.
What if he... Okay, so what if he was just the janitor?
Well,
I don't know.
he's losing twice anyway.
Oh, shout outs to all the janitors.
I mean...
Because they're watching the
even
show.
still, like... I know that stuff
like our
happens in
biggest-
college, and it's still
they're
like...
cleaning up the school right now. That motherfucker. I'm not listening to this anymore.
He's listening to it on
Dude, I remember in a college class one time, there was this one girl hanging out like right at the teacher's desk, and she was dressed super provocatively,
And she turned you down.
and it was,
And they were like,
so,
Kevin, sit back down in your chair.
It was so obvious. It was so obvious, and it was
What?
like
What was obvious?
That she was trying.
that she was trying to.
She was trying to F around and
To
find
Boff
out.
the teacher?
She was trying to get some preferential treatment.
I have
As-
stories, but I was sworn to secrecy.
Okay.
As a man and a former boy, and
Okay.
sometimes boy still,
Okay.
I remember kids growing up and like, us boys in school, and it was never me because I was a very respectful student.
Yeah, okay.
But you would hear like all the other students would be like, "Oh, that so and so teacher's hot." We didn't really have hot teachers when I was going to school, like at all as a kid. So
We had like 2 teachers I remember growing up that some kids were saying, "Oh, I'm like, I don't see it." We had there was
the math teacher was one of them.
He was not a friend. I wouldn't even say he was an acquaintance. I just knew of him. he would draw like this one teacher of him and her together, like in bed or going on a date. Very weird.
He's like, I bought her.
Very
This is where
weird.
I bought her popcorn with my real job.
And it's not like the teacher didn't know about it, because he would draw it in art, and the art teacher would show the other teacher.
Wait, the art teacher, as in the dude?
It was a girl that
the
was an
soccer
art teacher.
coach? Oh, okay.
This happened in Winseal, so you were.
That was middle school.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
I feel like
weird.
if I ever did weird shit like that, like with my planners, when I had the planners with like the scantily clad women in it, and they found it and they wanted to throw the book at me, but our principal was a preacher, right? Like so that dude's like, what? I can't believe you got all this in here, and so he's wants to send me to alternative schooling and all this, and I'm like, yo, dog, we just watched Frida in Spanish class. And that showed Salma Hayek's biddies. And we just read Beloved in English class. And I just had to read about a vivid R-ape scene. And you're telling me that this chick in a bikini is worse than all that? I'm scarred from that stuff. This makes me feel good.
So it's about context.
Yeah, I didn't get in trouble for that. I got to argue that one.
We're about an hour into it now, so I do want to take a minute to remind people to, if you are still with us, like, comment, subscribe. And if you're
happy thoughts,
if you are watching this video, don't forget we do have shorts that we do on our channel. Your algorithm may not necessarily recommend them all the time, so just click on over there to where it says shorts and check them out.
Ring that notification bell.
yeah, that should work.
I'll
get them.
And then I guess
We did it. Gentlemen,
I guess the
it's
main
been
thing.
a pleasure. I'll shake hands and go around.
I guess the main thing we wanted to talk about today is we want to kind of catch up on what's been going on the MCU. Yes.
Oh, okay. So, are you familiar with Echo from Marvel?
Yeah.
No one is really.
Okay, so I just want to preface. I want to say something real fast because in our group chat the other day, I don't know who this character is. I don't know anything about it.
You didn't watch Hawkeye?
I barely paid attention because I like Jeremy Renner, but I was like, all the rest of this is stupid.
I liked it.
Hawkeye was good.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just mentally
Hawkeye
checked
was
out.
great.
I checked out.
Yeah.
But Greg in the chat said, no, Kevin said she's deaf. And so naturally my disability ally senses kicked in and I was like, oh yes, I'm very on board. But then Greg said she also only has one arm.
No, I said one. She's missing a limb.
Okay, you said she's missing a limb, that's right. So my brain says, oh damn, like she's probably missing a limb. But then I go on to say, oh, it would be crazy if she's missing an arm. And then I said, oh, man, I assumed leg. That's what it was. I assumed leg. And he was like, it is, in fact, arm. And I was like, damn it. Okay, whatever.
No, you have that backwards.
Okay, whatever. However it played out. But my point was, then later on, I'm like, oh, well, how can she do sign language if she's deaf? And then Greg's like, she has a robotic arm.
You have that completely wrong, man.
Completely
wrong.
It's
Echo-
fine. It's fine. Just keep moving.
Echo has a robot leg, and Misty Knight has a robot arm.
Yes.
Okay, well, that's the one I was talking about, was how can they do sign language with a missing arm? I didn't realize that it was two different people.
Well, her arm
I thought we were
was
talking
There
about
are
the same
people who
person.
sign with
her
one
arm
hand.
was
Yeah.
built by Iron Man, right? So she can probably has full.
Right, but whenever I'm presented with the character, he said missing limb. So I'm like, why wouldn't you say instead of she has a missing limb, she has a robotic arm?
Because she just has a prosthetic leg.
So like if I walk in and you said, well, what's a good way? Y'all have a discussion because I want to think about it. I want to think of a way to
guess
put
that's
this.
why I'm on my way out of MCU.
So you're not on board with Echo then?
I'm just look, man. Like we've gotten to a point where I used to know basically like the character by the name. I could tell you who they were, what they did, how they originated, and now I can't. Like now there's just such a huge gap and such a big separation of what original characters are for the MCU as opposed to characters that had a legacy already within the comic books. So like for one, like Umbrella Academy, when I watched it the first time on Netflix, my favorite character was the Kraken, or the Hispanic character
Is he
in the show.
Is the Kraken not dead in the comics or?
No.
Oh, I had no
I haven't
idea.
seen the show
I've never
yet.
read the comics.
Okay, so in the comics, he can hold his breath indefinitely.
Someone stole my trade.
His name's still Diego. He's
I
blonde,
give it back to you.
and he only has one
I
eye.
had one
In the
and
show-
He's not the knife guy.
and someone has
No,
my one. I
He
don't know
uses
where
the
it
knife
is.
in the comic book series, but it's more of just a go-to. You know,
Okay, I didn't realize they changed it that much.
they changed him completely, and so
Yeah.
it was like, man, well, okay, well, I wanted to watch the show to see what they were going to do with Diego, because there in the comic book, him and the Monkey Butler kind of share a very
Monkey
close,
butt.
a very
That's
close
why I appreciate
relationship, where he's the only one still working as a superhero, right? And the others have kind of just moved on, and they have their, like, you know, their inner turmoil and the drama going on at the same time, or whatever. But the show just kind of it just blankets over all of that stuff, you know.
Okay.
And it's like, okay, here's just this. Basically, this is an original character, you know. He just really is, you know. And so it's like, well, I have no reason to continue following.
A lot of comic book TV shows and movies have done that.
Yeah.
I am not familiar with Echo in the comic books. Are any of you guys? I don't know
No.
if her MCU character is
a
faithful.
she's a newer character.
I have no idea.
Was a girlfriend, or at least in a relationship at one point with Daredevil, which is why Daredevil's gonna come out in her show.
Daredevil fucks. I don't know if
Yes.
y'all knew that.
Yes, I too watched
But-
She-Hulk.
But when I brought this to
I
our
like She-Hulk.
when I brought
She-Hulk,
this to
right, yeah, we had this whole debate thing. Like She-Hulk
Yeah.
was great.
Could have been better, sure, but it was
No,
good.
it couldn't have. To that ending.
when
Okay,
I brought
I'm
this
sorry.
with Echo to our group chat, I initially said, "Who is this for?" Right? Because she is, even if you did watch Hawkeye, she's a very minor character,
Yes.
and she doesn't have any superpowers. Right? She's not
No.
super strong. She doesn't have anything super about her. She's just a girl that does MMA, and she's deaf. Right?
Technically, that's what the Punisher is. Well, not a girl or deaf,
But Punisher's family was killed.
so was hers.
But I guess my point is everyone knows Punisher and no one knows Echo to begin with.
No, I think in the comic book,
Frank Castle is a star. Echo or whatever her.
but he had some type.
Non-
She's a star
superhero name
fucker
is
because she's
not.
going after Daredevil.
He had
Right?
some type of the formula within him.
So the question
Formula
is
X.
why are they putting a spotlight on this minor character?
You know the
Because
answer.
At the time, they were just looking for content, and they're like, "Oh, this show did reasonably well. We're already gonna have Kingpin. We can now have a show on her," and that was greenlit. And then they were like, "Oh, but the story's not that great."
If they were going to use someone from Hawkeye, they should have used Kate Bishop
or Hawkeye again.
or the
Right? What
or
was that?
ScarJo's sister.
Oh, wait, no. Jeremy Renner's all
well,
injured right
ScarJo's
now.
sister's gonna be in the Thunderbolts, so that's gonna be something else. More
Guys.
than likely, they're holding on Hawk Girl for like Young Avengers.
Y'all
That they're
are-
trying to set up more than likely.
Y'all are really thinking way too hard. It's like I had
Okay.
said in the very beginning. They're trying to be inclusive.
No.
You don't think so?
I do feel there is some of that. I mean, how many
Does that
diversity
character
boxes
tick?
does Echo tick? Female, Native American, deaf, missing a leg. You know,
Well, has a robot leg.
has
Has a prosthetic.
has a prosthetic robot leg. I don't know if it's prosthetic or robot.
It's just prosthetic.
Okay, well,
But see right there though the difference between missing a leg and having a prosthetic.
and I
leg?
really can't stress
It's a big
enough
deal, guys.
how
It's a big deal.
much
It's the
of
same.
a minor
one just has a
character
replacement.
she was in Hawkeye.
Do you think that's a symptom of culture today? Right? Is that
That's part of it, yeah.
there's this.
It's more important
It's
to
this-
tick the boxes.
It's unannounced.
I don't think this is
need
supposed to be
for that.
ticking any boxes. I think you're looking too much.
You really
into
think
it.
so?
Yes, versus just we need to create more content.
Yeah,
You're sitting there literally questioning the existence of this show, and there's something staring at you right in the hairy eyeball.
Yeah, they needed content.
They could have gone with Rocket Raccoon.
Are you okay? hold
Little
on.
doggy
Are you
from
aware of all the
Guardians.
stuff that was taking place behind the scenes?
I feel
Well,
like
of
there's
what?
just
Of
so
what, though?
many
Of
roster
Disney in
spots.
general?
Of
Why
Disney
give one to
and
Echo?
Marvel.
So
You talking about like the whole shake up from the streaming services taken away from the box office, all of that.
That bleeds into it, but yeah, no, there's
let us know what are you
bunch
talking
of
about.
stuff.
Let us know what's going on behind the scenes.
All right, well, basically, Bob, the old guard that just recently left for the new guard that came in. That was the previous old guard.
Bob Iger.
Bob Iger came back. Bob whatever, the Bob.
Yeah.
Oh, the main head guy for
yeah.
Disney.
From Twin Peaks.
Yeah, basically he was just greenlighting anything. Okay, we need something just to go. He didn't care about quality. He just cared that there was something that doesn't matter what it was, as long as it was something.
You know
that
that
Echo, you
that's
think
contractual. You know that, right? Like they have to do that.
No, because now they're like, okay.
No,
new
now
guy,
they've dialed back.
Yeah, they dialed it back
Time.
considerably.
No. But I mean, it's the same thing with every IP. If you don't use it up to a certain point in
Disney
time,
owns it. There's no like losing it.
But
Disney
also
owns it.
they did make a bunch of bad choices, like Eternals.
Eternals was good. Wasn't great. It was good. It was different.
Okay, is it low tier in the terms of Marvel rankings at MCU? Where does it fall?
It's low tier. The problem with Eternals was that
Salma Hayek was only in it for a little bit.
And
we here at Team Triplehorn like Salma Hayek movies.
Eternals was very weak.
It was too difficult to go across.
Extremely weak story.
It should have been a Disney Plus series.
Yeah, that's fair.
It was an okay movie. It would have been a really good Disney Plus. So that way they try to push so much into a minimal amount of time, and it washed it out.
They had too much star power.
So they were greenlighting all this stuff, and then what happened?
Well, that stuff came out bad.
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
Okay.
Is that?
I mean, Hawkeye. We liked Hawkeye. A lot of people didn't. A lot of people didn't like Miss Marvel. A lot of people didn't
the first
like
Miss
She-Hulk.
Marvel? Oh,
No,
wait,
not
no, I'm
Captain
thinking
Marvel.
Captain Marvel.
Miss Marvel.
I actually didn't watch Miss Marvel yet.
Okay.
I never even watched Miss Marvel because it just seemed like it wasn't for me, and which is
good.
Which is fine, but
the only thing is that they changed up her powers. She's no longer an Inhuman. Now she's potentially a mutant. I don't know how that's going to.
Hey, did she die and get brought back to life in the comics?
Well, she just recently died. I don't know if she's still dead now or that she already brought her back to life because she just died last month.
Yeah, they'll bring her back eventually.
She's not Peter Parker's parents,
but
or Uncle Ben.
Speaking of Peter Parker though, and ticking boxes, I'm not commenting if it's a positive or a negative for the game.
Talking about the end of the game?
No, I'm talking about Spider-Man 2, like the story. Well, what happened at the end?
You haven't beat it yet?
I thought you beat it.
Well, I did, but what are you referring whenever you say?
Or like Peter Parker's going to step back now. And
okay, so he says, "I'm going to step back, and you're going to take over Miles for a time," and then immediately it goes back to gameplay, and I'm like, "I'm still Peter."
Well, of course, he's not going to stop being Peter, because then it's like...
Then you can't pick Peter ever again in the game.
Yeah, right. It's going to be a Red Dead Redemption situation.
Yeah.
Spoiler! But,
well, spoilers on both.
I'm not... That doesn't hurt my feelings. I love Miles Morales. Like, Miles Morales is just as good as Peter Parker. Peter Parker is more fun because there's less baggage. Like, there's a mission.
Peter Parker has less baggage?
Yes. There's a mission that you play as with Miles, and I know why they did it, but it's like every mission with Miles was like a message. You know what I mean? You remember? Y'all remember "Don't Be a Menace to South Central"?
Well, I remember, but I've never seen it.
So
there was a moral and lesson for every.
Every time there was a moral being told, Keenan Ivory Wayans would come out and go, "Message." You remember that?
I don't remember. I mean, I watched the movie.
I
but
love
I
Don't
don't
Be a
remember
Menace.
that.
So basically, there's a mission in when you play as Miles, because you can just swap on the fly, like whichever one you want.
Like GT.
And yeah, exactly. And like I played as both pretty equally. I guess I was pretty fair about that. But each one had their own subset of missions and stuff. Peers were like, we have to save the environment, and we have to make sure, and let's do this real... I know that Rhino's attacking or Sandman's attacking, but hold on, I need to genetically alter these two plants together to make something that can absorb oxygen better. And I wanted to make a short about that, because I think we could make like a funny video.
Yeah, I think you told me that.
But Miles, his missions are like, the school, someone broke into the school and stole all all of the instruments, or it was the museum. They broke into the museum and stole the instruments from this ancient, or this classic blues player from wherever. And so then you recover it, and then you go and you open up a museum for the history of black people's playing of instruments and jazz musicians and like their impact on the culture. And like, don't get me wrong, like, I get why it's there. It's spreading awareness and stuff, and those missions were fine, they weren't bad or anything, but it is funny that it's there. Like, it's just, I don't know, it's decidedly not Spider-Man, but this is a new Spider-Man, so it's like this whole double thing, I guess.
So as Art might say, you're saying that it feels forced.
It's just, that's who his Spider-Man is. You know what I mean? Like the whole protecting their culture and their rich environment because they're so whatever, like that's who this Spider-Man is. And I don't condemn or condone it. It's fine. It's just, that's who it is. I enjoy playing as him. Those stories, they're fun. So I mean, it is what it is. But it is noticeable. Like, to me, okay. It's funny, the difference. Like, why didn't Peter save the trumpet that belonged to ancient jazz musician? You know what I mean?
Like from Babylonian time?
Yeah. Oh wait, I'm sorry. But then that was the whole thing. Was it was a white guy who owned all of those instruments as part of his.
So Miles learned a lesson.
No. It was an old white guy that his father was the
manager.
The manager or something. He owned all of those instruments, and then those instruments were donated, and he was trying to get them back because they belonged to him. And so then all of the characters keep saying, "This is our culture. It doesn't belong to you." And I'm like, wait, it's property. You know what I mean? It's property. It's not culture. It's property. And so I'm sitting there like, I really learned a lot by playing this game.
I mean, did you really?
I mean, the concept that the culture belongs to, absolutely. Like, I would know that and recognize that. But the way that it's propositioned in the game, if it's that guy's property, I mean, possession's 9/10 of the law, right?
When I went to, it's been a long time, but when I went to the museum in, I guess Minneapolis, I forget where, when I was visiting my brother one time, they have like a straight up mummy for real, like from Egypt in there. And I mean, that mummy didn't come from Minnesota. So I don't know if Egypt's trying to get it back or what. But
it might have been on loan. Sometimes.
Yeah, they do loan stuff out from museums.
But like Egypt has been trying to get a lot of the stuff back. Of course, the British.
Yeah, they jacked a lot of it.
Yeah, they're keeping a lot of that stuff.
But I mean, like, for real, like, I do understand the message of that they were pushing and stuff in the game, and I respect it. But it's just it's never black and white. It's never like super black and white. It's always the moral superiority versus, and then they make criminals, and it's like, was that his trumpet? They never made it clear. And so in that instance, if it's your trumpet, you know what I mean? If you bought it and someone else used it, got famous, 100 years goes by, and you pass it down to your kids, and then somehow it gets donated. That's how, I don't know, it got donated to a museum. But
you don't know the full history of the trumpet.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's like, I feel like they could do better. Like, someone comes up and they say, "I don't care about all this musician stuff," and then they kick his ass and they're like, "Fuck you, dog, get out of our neighborhood."
Well,
I'd be fine with that.
Well, getting back to MCU a little bit.
Hey man, this is all Marvel.
It doesn't seem like there's going to be any, based on the trailer for Echo, it doesn't seem like there's going to be many lessons learned. Because it seems like it's kind of a prequel of how Echo kind of came to be, right? Because it shows there's a little kid.
No, it's a sequel.
But it shows like past events.
It's going to have some...
Okay.
It's going to show a little bit of her growing up, but it is a continuation off of the Hawkeye series, because Kingpin does have his eye blown out from the end of Hawkeye. It's also the first MA Disney Plus show.
I saw that, the mature.
So, yeah. And
they gotta have something to make it interesting.
Well, people were happy because, granted, this is going to be related to the Daredevil, because Daredevil will come out. You see him, like, real quick in the trailer. And so they were worried about whether or not they were going to make Daredevil serious or not. And that's also why they kind of stopped the Daredevil show and kind of scrapped everything they've done so far, and they're starting over on that.
Well, the last time we saw Daredevil was in She-Hulk, and he was kind of goofy, right?
Yeah, so that...
Was he goofy?
A little bit. He was a little bit more comedic than serious.
But he was in the comics.
Oh, I know.
In the comic books, that was his flavor.
I don't know
he was
anything.
Super serial.
I don't know anything about Echo.
Serial. He was always kind of commenting on what was going on at the time.
Okay.
You know, because him and Spider-Man were pretty close.
Yeah.
I've basically only read the Daredevils by Brian Michael Bendis and Alex Maleev.
Which is like the 2000s.
I don't know what year they are, but
But
he was pretty serious. And then I guess in Shadowlands when he got possessed by a demon.
Oh yeah, so that's when things are getting real serious.
I never liked Daredevil.
Daredevil's an interesting character.
I never liked Daredevil. I'm dead serious. Not once ever did I say, blind guys are cool.
Even though you do have
I don't
super
know.
hearing
Yeah,
because you
yeah.
lost your vision.
That's true.
The reason I like Daredevil
Maybe it's
so
I
much
hate
is
my
because
own.
it was clearly a tie to Eastman and Laird's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, it's like connected.
And so, like, learning about that made me feel like, oh man, okay, these are two things that I enjoy: Marvel and Mutant Ninja Turtles. So
I like the way you say Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like
Teenage
it's a separate category of existence or
I
something. You know?
versus regular Ninja
Yeah.
Turtles.
I haven't watched the new one where they're like actual teenagers.
It's not bad. It's pretty good.
Have they ever done
They
a
changed the
grown-up
story.
Ninja Turtles?
Yeah,
The
The Last Ronin basically covered
Oh
it.
yeah.
The Last Ronin is Donatello?
No,
Michelangelo.
Oh, that's right.
Didn't you
That's
tell
right.
me it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
Michelangelo?
I was mistaken. Because I don't know why my memory says
because
it's Raphael,
it
right?
follows the movie.
So whenever I found out it was Michelangelo, I was like, "Yo, dog, for real? Michelangelo's the only one to survive? Does he still say stuff like tubular and
No.
He's like super,
No,
like,
that's the thing. Like he's become
It-
more introverted.
He's totally broken.
He's
basically.
grimdark.
Yeah,
God.
he's grimdark. Yeah,
Mhm.
and what I like about it is the movie like they take like portions of the movie, they throw it into the comic book. You know, like them showing up as spirits. You know, the fact that he's still the man's over Donatello and more so Splinter, that he wasn't there. You know.
They're making a game too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
does it ever show him jerking it in the sewer?
And
no, I'm pretty sure that's reserved.
the last game they did release though was pretty sick. I forget what it was called, but we all played it together, right? I don't know.
Well, which
remember
one
if you
was
were
that on
here.
the Switch?
Yeah.
What was that game called though?
Shredder's Revenge.
That was
Revenge.
Shredder's Revenge.
Yeah.
That was like a throwback to Turtles in Time. If you played
Was
that,
that
Marty.
on the Cowabunga collection?
No.
Because we bought the Cowabunga collection and we've never played it. Still.
That's the one. That
I
has
want to
like
buy
all
the
old
Cowabunga
games.
collection.
You can borrow ours.
Oh, okay.
Well, we haven't played it. It's still sealed.
Well, the only reason is because I like the tournament fighters. That's about it.
You saw that there's Ninja Turtle skins in Street Fighter 6, right?
Yeah.
But it's
There
only,
is
it's
deal-
only for custom characters, which is like who
You have to
cares
pay
about
for it,
custom
right?
characters? Yeah, it is paid. Yeah.
There will be DLC. Well, there is DLC for Shredder's Revenge. You can play
the rabbit guy,
the rabbit,
right?
yeah, Sakio Jimbo, and then Shredder's daughter as well.
Whoa, what's her name?
What about Mondo Gecko? Is he in
Akai?
there?
Shunder?
Or Rakat. It begins with an A. I can't remember.
Ricky Tikki Tombo?
No.
What was that book? Do y'all remember that?
Ricky Tikki Tavi.
No, I thought it was like Ricky Tikki Tombo.
No,
No Sa Rambo or something like that.
Yeah, Ricky Tikki Tavi, I think that is it.
Yeah.
Is
Are
it
you talking about the
what's
mongoose?
what's the phrase? It's like Ricky Tikki Tavi, No Sa Rambo, or what was that?
No idea.
No
What
one
am I
knows what you're
thinking
talking about.
I'm gonna have to just freaking say it into my phone.
Okay, let's
Ricky
find out.
Tikki Tavi, No Sa Rambo. I don't know what it is. It's
What's
like,
the
what the
result?
fuck you talking about, bro?
Okay.
It literally said that.
Question mark.
I'll look it up.
Um,
I don't know how I would even look that up.
So I'm not gonna watch Echo unless one of you guys ends up watching it and tells me it's good.
The thing that's unique about it is that it's all also dumping all in one go, which is also something they've never done before.
Oh, it's not gonna be week by week.
No,
Well,
it's,
see, I
it's all
watched Hawkeye, right? And that actress had like
Kate Bishop,
she has like the personality of like a microwave oven, you know. And it's
Lady Hawkeye. Is that
No,
what you're talking about?
Echo.
No, Echo.
Oh, Echo. Okay.
She was extremely boring to watch.
Yeah,
You know,
how
she
much-
came out, she punched somebody, and then was like, "Don't mess with me," and
I-
then went back to working on the car. And I was like, "Okay." So
I'll be honest. I'm
I
gonna
was
not watch
totally-
for her. I'm gonna watch it for Kingpin.
That was exactly right.
Okay.
Ricky
But-
Tikki Timbo no sa Rimbo.
But she is adopted by Kingpin, at least, right?
Kind of, yeah. Pseudo
Ricky
adopted.
Tikki
Not
Timbo is
officially.
the first
Okay.
son, and as such, he has an
Because in the
important
comic
and
books,
very
that was like the
long
whole
name.
thing, right? She
Ricky
even wore
Tikki
like
Timbo,
the.
no sa Rimbo. Charged by Rucci.
I don't
This dude's
Yeah.
checked out.
I don't think she came out in the comics I read, so I don't know.
No, she didn't. Probably not. She was raised by Kingpin. That's why it's for her. It is such a wound because she was raised by Kingpin, but it's only because Kingpin killed her family that she didn't know that he was the cause of it.
Okay.
To take
Yeah,
her.
he does that a few times within. I mean, they've worked that in.
Yeah.
I myself have enjoyed any time that Kingpin is on screen.
Oh, he's great. I love this.
I think
Yeah,
he's
Mrs.
taken
Knopfler
that
does
character and he's made it
Damn,
something
dude.
like, okay,
Old
Like-
books just exist in my brain, rent free, and just pop up sometimes, and they're like, "Yo, you have to say
Right on
this out
topic.
loud."
yeah, okay. Well, I guess that's it for me for the so,
We've been harping on like
Are-
the same shit.
yeah, basically.
Echo, y'all guys, everybody here today has pretty unilaterally been like, "Yo, we don't care," right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch
Greg's
it.
gonna watch it, so he'll report back to us.
So, but the reason I'm saying that is on Facebook.
I don't need to
Right
report.
after you told me about it, Facebook, I saw like an IGN thing that was talking about it, and I didn't see one negative comment in the comments.
Well,
Not
what
one.
are they gonna negatively say?
Fuck this show, shit like that. They say negative
Don't worry.
shit all the time.
You just it's.
That's just fan.
Yeah.
I feel like the comments at that point are probably just a combination of fanboys
We might
and then
be in the
virtue
minority,
signaling.
guys. We're in the
Hey, that's
minority.
fine.
Most
That's
people
fine.
probably like they really
I
don't
don't-
care about Echo.
I don't mind being a
She was
minority.
not like a central pillar.
Kevin, you're trying too hard, Kevin.
No, I mean, there's so many more characters that have
yeah.
Yeah.
such a huge cult following that they still
Yes.
haven't touched upon.
Like Morbius.
Or Nova.
I'm never
Or
gonna watch
Nova.
that.
well, Nova at least makes an appearance. You know?
Did Craven
John
ever
C.
come
Reilly?
out? Did Craven starring
Yeah.
Kick-Ass ever come out?
No. because
Also,
of,
did y'all see Craven in the new
everything.
Spider-Man 2?
No.
Dude, that's the dopest version of Craven I've ever seen.
Oh, because it's gonna lead into the movie version.
Nope.
No.
That dude, spoiler alert, gets murderfied.
No, I know, but
Oh, so it doesn't follow Craven's last hunt?
Wait, no, he gets murdered.
He
so
dies.
is
No.
that his last time?
Yeah, no, because he kills him.
yeah.
Who
He
killed him?
saw Swings.
Sweet Coons.
Sweet Coons, whatever.
Suicide.
Because he actually managed to defeat Spider-Man. It's like, all right, I've done my life's goal. There's nothing left for
But he
me.
doesn't
But
kill
then he comes
Spider-Man?
back.
No, he buries him alive, but buries him.
It's
Yeah,
just
And then he
symbolic.
Sweet Coons
Yeah.
himself? That's so dumb.
Well, in the movie,
It's like-
in the game, it's really good. So y'all give a shit about spoilers? Y'all have any intentions of playing?
No.
I'll play it, but later on.
Okay, so you don't care?
No.
So basically, spoiler alert, audience.
So he harakiris.
No, so he's trying to find a worthy hunt because he's got like cancer or some shit. I don't know what it is, but he's sick and he's dying.
Probably cancer.
And so he's dying, and he comes to New York, and he captures Scorpion and Mr. Negative. Although I don't remember them ever referring to that dude as Mr. Negative. They
That's his
always
name,
call
right?
him Lee. Yeah, it's Mr. Negative. I looked it up.
Yeah.
His character is called Mr. Negative.
But
Yeah.
basically, in the thing, they only ever call him Mr. Lee because they know him by Lee. But anyway, so he captures Mr. Negative, Scorpion, Vulture, like all these dudes, and he starts murdering them. And it shows him hunting them through like this giant forest zoo thing. And Scorpion, like, he murders Scorpion like dirty. It's alluded to that he kills Rhino. You don't see it though. He
So
kills
it's like the most dangerous game.
something like that. So then he captures
Sounds like
Dr.
he's-
Connors.
Sounds like he's doing Spider-Man a favor.
Yeah, seriously. So he captures the Lizard, who's also kind of a good guy, but they do a twist. So in this game, Harry comes back, Harry Osborn, and he was sick in the first game, and he wasn't there, and he comes back, and Dr. Connors found the symbiote suit, and they put it on him to help him heal. And then Spider-Man gets stabbed in the chest by Kraven, and he's about to die, and the symbiote gets onto Spider-Man, and then everything that you can imagine plays out. Spider-Man realizes he can't have the suit. But then it goes back to Harry, and then Harry fully becomes Venom. And it's actually really cool because you play as Venom. And Venom is like
Do you eat people?
Dude, he bites his shit. I think he bites Craven's head off.
Okay.
Craven is like trying to kill Spider-Man.
Well, he eats the brains.
Dude, it's dirty. And Venom's just like, Craven, he beats the shit out of Craven, or you're playing as Venom and you beat up Craven, and then he's like, you know, whatever. And then you escape the building or whatever. Norman Osborn, though, isn't Green Goblin in the games. Because it's kind of alternate universe.
Oh.
Yeah.
And so Norman Osborn at the end is super mad at Spider-Man.
That for part 3.
He's mad at Spider-Man, so he goes to the prison and he's telling Doc Ock, you know who Spider-Man is. Why don't you tell me, you know? But anyway, did y'all watch?
You sound like a Southern lawyer right there.
Did y'all watch the Into the Spider-Verse 2 or whatever?
I saw it's out on Netflix, but I haven't watched it yet.
Y'all, Across the Spider-Verse. You haven't seen it yet?
I saw it in the theaters, man.
Okay, I'm glad I didn't go to theaters. Because I also thought of a really funny short where we could kind of lampoon that a little bit.
Okay.
But we need to get a bunch of watercolors and spray paint and just basically have a symphony of color at all points and that you can't keep up with.
So you had trouble watching it? Is
Dude,
what you're saying?
the entire movie is like watercolor pastel, right?
It's only in
Try to watch
Spider-Gwen's
fucking
universe.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Dude, it's wild.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah, because that movie's also really dark.
And then they go to like the Spider-Verse, and then there's all the different Spider-Man.
That's what I'm saying.
And the color was so jarring. Like, I was literally having to do this. I was like, oh, what?
Yeah.
What's happening?
It's hard to tell
What's
going on.
happening? You can't... Even Jen, like, sitting all the way back in the room is like, what the hell? There's like I don't know why they did that. That's dumb.
Yeah, I don't know why they took
Dude,
that.
it's wild. It's
They've
like
been doing
freaking,
it like all the time now.
the whole entire movie is like
that artistic approach of every
Yeah.
character and
everybody wants to be
Yeah.
Banksy, dude, and that's what
Yeah.
it felt like. Is like this dude. They're all trying to do like street art. Everything
Yeah.
was that aesthetic, and I'm not saying it didn't look cool at times because the writing and everything was really good for the most part. I liked the story,
But, like Art
but
said,
those
it is
fucking
forced.
visuals, dude. My God, that shit was hurting.
It is forced. It is. So.
the visuals were fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it felt forced. Fucking Greg, you don't
Hey,
have.
but
You know what? That's
I'm
all I
gonna
can
call
do.
it a night, guys.
Yeah,
It's already been
we're at like an
late,
hour
so-
and a half already, so...
1 hour and a half, guys. Well, hold on, man. Let's get some outros. Damn, dog. Oh, what is it? Just like a man. Won't even let me take my socks off. I'm gonna use that every chance I get when someone tries to rush me.
Well, good night, guys. From this side of the table.
Oh wait, hold on.
And this
We
side.
have to do some longers. Let's do some longer.
See ya.
Everyone, wave goodbye to Marty.
Bye-bye.
It's
Bye.
gonna walk behind each person.
All right, we'll wrap it up. Like and subscribe, everybody.